Cam. Oh, Cam. Pause.
Football fans, welcome to another edition of Field Vision, brought to you by War Room Sports in conjunction with Sports Kings. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Devin McMillan, and I'm here at the round table this evening with Austin from Sports Kings.
How's it going, guys? Good to be here. Playoff time. What can be better than that? Excited.
Playoffs. We got Frank from Sports Kings.
Yeah, I'd say this is my playoff beard, but I'm a Giants fan, so it's really just an excuse.
I was actually supposed to cut mine off, but I couldn't do it after, what happened last Saturday. And we got Jimmy, my partner from War Room Sports.
You already know I'm rocking a beard, and it's so cold out here that I think I'm going to keep it for a while. By the way, hit me up at JW The Blueprint. That's Twitter, Instagram, Farmers Only, and Christian Mingle.
All right. We're here, of course, to talk about the NFL Divisional round. Before we jump into that, we had a little bit of news out of Washington earlier today. Jay Gruden, offensive coordinator from the Cincinnati Bengals, was hired to be the head coach of the Washington professional football team. Any of you guys got any thoughts on the Jay Gruden hiring? Do you think it was a good hiring?
I like it. I mean, I don't love the hire, but I like it. He seems like more of a disciplinarian, which I think, is what the team needs. Every time you got like a lack. I mean, I don't know how lax Mike Shanahan was, but it just seemed like he lost the team for whatever reason. But, it just seems like they need somebody to come in and hold everybody accountable and, maybe throw the hammer down a little bit. Seemed like he was not throwing shots at RG3 by any means, but he was telling, he's going to be responsible for making the right throws, and if he doesn't make the right throws, then I expect him to take the blame. I think that was the quote. So, I mean, it's good to have somebody in their situation when you're a bad team and you're undisciplined, to have somebody that's going to come down and, lay the hammer a little bit.
Did Andy Dalton take the blame?
I was about to say the same thing. I wanted Andy Dalton to take the blame for like a 7 picks he threw in the last 2 hours, under Jay Gruden's tutelage, by the way. Bottom line is the Cornball brother runs that team, so if the Cornball brother wants to make mistakes and not be accountable, guess what? That's what's going to happen. I heard Dev mention earlier in the conversation that Daniel Snyder, is a meddling owner. So depending upon how he treats this hire, so I kind of agree with what you said there, Dev. I'm stealing your thunder before you even get a chance to speak. Shout out to B. Austin. But at any rate, it's like I don't know what it's really going to do. The Redskins stink. They need help all over the place. They don't have any draft picks. I mean, they hooked the Rams up, but in terms of building that team, they need help everywhere. I don't even see where they're going to get it from.
Austin.
Well, I mean, news is news over there. Like Gruden, I think it's a lot more. I think it's a lot more organized than Shanahan will have it. But I think the bigger news is that Kirk Cousins has found a new home, and that is over in Cleveland. I think it's a good opportunity for him. A little bit bummed out that they're not going to ride Hoyer, being a former Patriots quarterback. I was really riding that train, hoping that he would, get back healthy and do what he did in those few games that he did for the Browns. But Kirk Cousins finally getting home and away from that dysfunctional family in Washington, and maybe they can make some noise in that division.
All right. Yeah, I mean, like Jimmy said, it all depends on what Daniel Snyder allows his coach to do. He's already been in this press conference saying, this decisions here are going to be made by a group of people. We may not always agree on things, but everybody has the team's best interest in mind. And I don't know. I don't think he demands, being a rookie head coach, he doesn't command that respect to want to have final say on everything. So I guess this is what he has to say right now. But we'll see if it works, because it's always a nice happy marriage in Washington, and then a year or two later the owner and the coach are at odds, and then they're right back here again. So as an analyst, I'd like to wish him luck. As a fan of a rival team in the division, I hope Jay Gruden sucks. So we'll move on. We'll talk a little bit about we're here to talk about the NFL.
I want to hear Jay Gruden call 2Y banana. 2Y banana.
I want to see if the Redskins get a Monday night game. Will his brother be able to be objective?
Oh, I'm sure he will be. I mean, it's Gruden, he gets to do whatever the hell he wants, right?
Yeah,
This is true.
Yeah, we'll see about that. I mean, he's not objective already, and it has nothing to do with his brother. If there's a quarterback involved, there's no objectivity.
This is true.
All right, so let's start with our predictions for the first game on Saturday, and that game is the New Orleans Saints versus the Seattle Seahawks. Now, we all know that these two teams played earlier in the season, and the Seattle Seahawks actually dominated the New Orleans Saints 34-7. How do you guys see this one going? What are your keys to the game, in order for both teams to have a chance to come out on top, and then give us your predictions? Anybody?
Well, I'll start it out here. I'm riding heavy on the Saints. One side reason why I'm so heavy on the Saints to beat the Seahawks is if they win the whole Super Bowl, I'm going to get paid out big. Made a nice off-season bet. But, I mean, there are some facts that back it up that Seattle could get surprised. You take the New Orleans Saints. They're the only team in the NFC that has a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense. And, a lot of people want to talk about the 49ers and the Panthers and Seattle for their defense, but flying under the radar is this New Orleans Saints defense. And as long as they can keep Breeze on the field by getting him the ball back and Breeze not making any mistakes against that nasty Seattle secondary, I think the Saints have a good chance to upset the Seahawks at 12th man.
So he made some mistakes last week against the not so nasty, very clean Philadelphia Eagles secondary. And actually, Bill Davis, the defensive coordinator in Philly, his whole strategy last week was to try to take away Drew Brees and a lot of elements of the passing game. But then all of a sudden, the running backs account for 185 yards on the ground. I'm not sure if Seattle's a defense where you can just dictate to them, kind of like they did to Philadelphia last week. And I find it very hard to think, there's a team out there that can beat the New Orleans Saints twice in a season. But that home field advantage, that 12th man, they're out there paying fines now. They're behind the team. They're going to be loud. I want to pick the Saints in this one, but I just can't. I'm going to have to go with the Seahawks. But I think it'll be closer than a lot of people thinks this game is going to be.
All right. I'll be very brief. Great points, Austin. They do have a top 5 defense and offense. They had that same top 5 defense and offense when they got embarrassed in Seattle a couple weeks ago. I just think that Seattle, they played for the home field. It's going to come into play here. I have them winning this game. I think it will be a close game. It'll probably be a close game. Depends, though. If Seattle can start off early and get their running game going, I think they can win by possibly double digits. But, that home field advantage is going to be tough. And they have a nasty defense. And Drew Brees has to play better. I mean, he just has to play better because he didn't play well at all. Good thing for them that, the Saints coach, he's proven his worth. He wasn't there last year, and we saw what happened. He's there this year. He called a masterful game against the Eagles. But again, it was the Eagles. It's not this nasty Seattle defense, the secondary, the Legion of Boom. So I'm personally just going to go with Seattle for this pick. And also pick Seattle to go to the bowl in the beginning of the season, the preseason. So why would I go against myself?
Right. And Jimmy, Drew Brees in that first matchup against the Seattle Seahawks was 23 for 38, 147 yards and a touchdown. So they really did limit, what he was able to do as far as his impact on that game. And you see they only got 7 points out of it. One thing I will say is I can't see a team. They've done it once, but it's hard to imagine any team holding the Saints to 7 points. So I don't think it'll go that way this time.
Yeah.
But they still got to play that nasty defense.
The only reason why I don't think this is going to be another blowout is like you guys are talking about, because they already embarrassed them once. I don't think that a professional team, a prideful team like the Saints, that have a good infrastructure, that are going to just go out and embarrass themselves again. That being said, I think Seattle is going to win comfortably. I don't think that the Saints played well at all last week. I think the Eagles lost that game more than the Saints won it for sure. Drew Brees did not look good. As we talked about last week, the Saints are not a good road team, and you're going to arguably probably what most people believe is the most difficult place to play. And, they blew them out 34-7 in Week 13, and you can probably argue that the Saints aren't as good of a team as they were in Week 13 because they kind of fell off a little bit towards the end and didn't play well last week, like I said. So, I guess the only argument to that would be Seattle's probably not as good of a team either because of the secondary losses there, and that's the only chance I see them having is if Breeze can take advantage of the secondary being injured. But, I think Seattle's going to kill them. It's going to be probably like 28-17, but it's probably going to be 28-10 most of the way, and they're just going to score a garbage touchdown.
So
to make it 28-17.
Basically, you're saying Austin is just like picking the Saints because he wants to win his bet. That's what you're saying.
He can believe what he can believe, but he's wrong. That's all I'm saying. You're more than welcome to your wrong opinion. Everybody's got one.
All right, let's move on to the second game of that Saturday doubleheader, and that's the Indianapolis Colts and the New England Patriots. Now, we all saw what the Colts had to overcome. I'll put it that way. We'll see what they had to overcome against the Chiefs last week. Andrew Luck had one of those games that could be the start to his legend, the start to his final legacy. This could be what he's about, in the league. Do you guys think the magic will carry over into Foxborough? Is there any chance that the Indianapolis Colts could walk out of Foxborough and march to the AFC Conference Championship game? We'll start with the Patriots fan.
All right. Well, no, I'm gonna be non-biased here. All right, we're checking out the game. Here it is. In that game against Kansas City, there's something that Andy Reid just neglected to do, and that was take away T.Y. Hilton.
Coach. Yeah, he failed the coach, too.
Oh, my God, he failed him miserably.
He's getting all the workload on their epic comeback. Okay, what a story. What a playoff story. But T.Y. Hilton was getting all of the receptions. Take that man away. I can guarantee you that Belichick is not going to make that same mistake. And then, if you look at the regular season, the Patriots are 8-0 at Gillette Stadium. They also have that awesome home field advantage going in their favor. And I think Brady's just going to pull through this one, and I believe that Andrew Luck is just going to have another one of those learning curve seasons where he comes away with a lot, and he will eventually, make a name for himself, but not quite yet. It's a bit early.
Right. And plus, it's another step. They got in last year. They didn't win a game.
Right.
They won a game, And I agree with you with the whole Belichick and T.Y. Hilton thing. Jimmy and I were talking about it earlier on our podcast. And I think, even if something else ends up hurting the Patriots, he's just not going to let, Andrew Luck have his bread and butter all night. So, whatever happens, elsewhere, if somebody else decides to step up and actually do something to impact the game, then so be it. But I just don't see T.Y. Hilton not getting the attention that the Chiefs should have given that man in the second half of last week's game. It was amazing. It's always amazing to see a comeback like that. And I actually had to watch the game from the big screen at Lincoln Financial Field, so I really couldn't hear, I couldn't hear, there was no audio. We were just watching the game. But you could basically see and tell what's going on, and it was amazing. I kind of fall into the same boat. I kind of think the ride for the Colts for this particular season will probably end in Foxborough. The Colts team at this point, when you look at their talent, you look at their secondary, which isn't that great. Brady will probably take advantage of that when it's needed. I think when you're looking at this team from a talent perspective, I think they're overachieving a little bit. So I don't know if I want to give all of that credit to Andrew Luck being that good right now, or their pass rush being that good with Robert Mathis, but the team doesn't seem all that talented. You have Andrew Luck, you have T.Y. Hilton, you have an underachieving running back. I just don't see them pulling this.
He doesn't have a name anymore?
You gotta bust over there as well. Yeah, you gotta rely heavily on Andre Brown. If he doesn't have a good game, the Colts are in trouble. And that's also point out that another quarterback that made an early exit was Andy Dalton. Why? Because he threw interceptions. Andrew Luck threw a lot a lot of interceptions against
Shout
Kansas
to Jay
City.
Gruden.
Last week, an epic game for Andrew Luck it was, but if he was playing another team that didn't have as many significant injuries as the Chiefs did in that game, I don't know that he comes back from all his interceptions thrown. I don't think he's going to be able to recover in New England if he starts throwing picks like he did last week.
And here's the thing. It's sort of like what Frank said about the Eagles and Saints game. I don't know if the Colts actually won that game or the Chiefs lost the game. I think it's more so the Chiefs losing the game. Andy Reid, first of all, he still hasn't got the whole timing and play clock thing together. Come on, man. Like, what's wrong with you, though?
Never been his forte.
And I even told Dev, I was like, yo, even if you get pass interference, yo, just jump on this T.Y. Hilton guy. What are you guys doing? Them little underneath passes to his little mutt tight end, that's not going to get it done. But you keep allowing T.Y. Hilton to catch the ball. I did not understand that at all. I mean, so I think the Chiefs more so lost that game than the Colts winning. Now, I will say this. I think that the Patriots will win the game. I don't want them to win the game. I'm a Broncos fan. I don't want to play the Patriots. But with that being said, I think the Colts will be in the game, but I just don't think they have enough to get it done. I agree with Dev in terms of their talent. They're really not that talented a team. Let's keep it real. I mean, they have underachieving running back because we don't even say it. He don't even get his name said no more. That's how bad he is. But and he fumbles the ball too. So in the words of B. Austin, he's a coward. But it's like they're just not that talented. So I think the Patriots will win. Do I want them to win? No, I'm actually going to be rooting like a madman for the Colts, but I don't know if they have enough to get it done.
I'm excited for this game. I think it's going to be a weird game. One of those games where one team goes up 21-0, and then all of a sudden another team comes storming back. I think it's just going to be
like a Chiefs game.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be one of those crazy type of games. I got New England, but I think the Colts are going to give them all they can handle. But like Austin brought up, that was the point I was going to make. I think Andrew Luck is going to throw a very timely and unfortunate interception because, lost in all his greatness is that he throws a lot of interceptions because he thinks he can make every throw. So even if the window is like this big, edging it, he thinks he can.
Shout out to Brett Favre.
He thinks he can make the throw, and sometimes it just doesn't happen, which is part of being a good quarterback too. Throwing interceptions is part of being a good quarterback. But that being said, I got New England. I think it's going to be a crazy game, high scoring. I got 31-28 New England.
Yeah, see, what he's shown so far in his career is that, I'm take away last week, he can bounce back after some bad plays in the game. Mm-hmm. But like you said, they're going up against a team like the Patriots. Can't
make those mistakes against the Patriots
because they're a team from their history. We don't know what they're going to do on Saturday, but they're a team who generally don't make enough mistakes to shoot themselves in the foot. So you might throw a couple of interceptions in this one and won't have time to bounce back. So I would suggest that you just don't throw a bunch of interceptions.
The cool thing about this game, too, is these are two of the weirder teams in the league. Like, they've had very weird seasons. New England might be the worst 12-4 team I've ever seen in my life. There's no way that I look at the New England Patriots and think this is a 12-4 team.
When you say they're sneaky bad?
They're sneaky bad. They're good. They're not great. They're sneaky good, but they're supposed. 12-4 is a really good record.
Sneaky good.
Yeah, at the same time.
And Frank, on the Colts side, it's like they beat teams that they probably shouldn't beat.
Right,
when they lose games, they get
exactly. So it's two very weird teams. So I'm curious how the game's going to turn out. I'm very curious about this.
But that's what scares me, Dad, is because there's no way they should win this game, which means they might mess around and win this game.
Pummel the Patriots. That's true. They might end up pummeling the Patriots because they're not supposed to win.
Because they're not supposed to. They're just stupid that way.
All right, well, let's go to Sunday, where we're going to start that one off with the 49ers visiting the Panthers. Now, these two teams played earlier in the season. The Panthers got that win. How do you guys see this one going?
Now, listen, grown man ball is something you got to deal with. This is a game that I'm looking forward to this game. This game is only built for Cuban links because this is going to be a very physical game. Now, as I mentioned earlier on the podcast, again, check that out, by the way. That'll be on this channel probably tomorrow. But I think that the 49ers right now are playing good football. I was very impressed with that win in Green Bay. I'm not even going to lie. It kind of made me shift my opinion in picking this game. I think the Panthers are a good team. The defense is very physical. But I think the Niners, basically going through that run last year, and that win last week, I think they're like battle tested. They're ready. The team is built for this time of year. They're physical as well. They're physical on both sides. The offensive line bludgeons people. Frank Gore might be underrated at this point because he gets it done. And Kaepernick, I mean, he kills people. But the thing, but the thing is though, I don't want to take anything away from Carolina. They had a great season. They're a hot team. If they won this game, it wouldn't shock me. But I am picking the 49ers. I think that next year, after the Panthers go through it, it's sort of like the growing pains you were talking about with the Colts. It's time for the Panthers to go through these growing pains as they continue to build their team. They have a strong nucleus. They need help at wide receiver, ungodly. I watched them play damn near every game this season because Cam Newton was my fantasy quarterback, and I've never seen so many drops in my life. And they've gotten away with it because their defense has bailed them out all season. But this is the playoffs. If they come in dropping wide open passes, they're going to get hurt because this 49ers team is built for the playoffs. And I'm picking the Niners in this game in the close one.
If they get their Riley Cooper on, it's over.
Yo, this game, if there's not $500,000 worth of fines for hits in this game, I'm going to be disappointed. That's the kind of game.
I need to see stretchers and body bags and blood.
Keep the women and children at home locked up. This is a man's game. This is an 80s game right now. But I think it's going to be the best game of the weekend. I think it's going to be the most well played game. I think it all comes down to Cam Newton for me. If he plays well, I think that the Panthers win. If he doesn't play well, I think the Panthers are going to lose. I think he's going to play okay, but I think he's going to have a crucial mistake that costs him the game. Because I've seen him in big games where he kind of gets off to a slow start, which is most importantly. In the game against the Niners, I think he had at one point he was 2 for 13 with 12 yards or something like that.
That was in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And you can't afford to do that in a playoff game. You're just not going to recover from that. And I mean, I got the Niners. Neither team would surprise me. I think it's going to be an incredibly close game, like Jimmy said. Neither team that wins would surprise me, but I'm going to go with the Niners.
Yo, shout out to Riverboat Ron, too, because their coach was on his way to being like Marty Schottenheimer, and he decided to go the total other way. He goes for it on fourth down damn near every game. It's fake field goals. Riverboat Ron is
missing Crabtree in that first matchup.
They were missing Crabtree in the first matchup, yeah.
Because you got Kaepernick's, what seems to be his favorite target.
He guns it to him.
Yeah, like Jimmy said, the 49ers just seem to be built for this time of year. And when I say that, I'm talking more about the weather. This team is a team that can grind it out on the ground. Their quarterback can get you yards on the ground if you need it. If it's a bad day weather-wise and, you can't just sling it around the yard. He has a full complement of weapons on the outside. Again, Crabtree, Anquan Bolden, Vernon Davis. For me, and that nasty 49er defense, if they come to the party, I think it's going to be very difficult for the Panthers, even though the Panthers are at home. I think it's going to be difficult for them to pull this one out. Of course, like Frank said, I think a lot of this game will rest on the shoulders of Cam Newton. This being his first playoff game, I don't see him going out with the playoff jitters and just having a stinker. But I just think the Niners are just going to be there and ready to play. So I'm going to go with the 49ers on this. Back to the NFC Championship for the Niners.
What you think?
You got it, Austin.
Oh, all right. I think you guys know my answer. Cam! Panthers. Okay. The Panthers are like the Cinderella team right now in the NFC. They're the Cinderella team. It's hard to, just bat an eye at them. They're just having a magical season. And Cam Newton, we talked about Andrew Luck making the next step, and I don't think he can do it against New England. But this is very possible for Cam Newton to make that next step and surprise the nation and beat all the bandwagoners, the 49ers, in this game. And then maybe Ric Flair will switch back and start liking the Panthers again. Since he's already hopped off that wagon and jumped back on with the 49ers. But
talk to him.
I'm still believing in that Cam Newton magic and what that defense has been able to do. Coach of the Year, Ron Rivera, in my opinion. And let's see if the Cinderella story can keep going, man.
Yo, quick note. What's up with Colin Kaepernick like hustling us during the regular season? Like he doesn't run at all during the regular season, then all of a sudden he gets into the postseason. All of a sudden this dude looks like
no. It's like yo, it's
when
do
it
or
counts.
die.
Yeah,
It's do or die.
I can't remember who I was listening to, but I heard somebody talking about that. I think it was Mel Kiper because he comes on station down in Washington, and they were talking about the Gruden hiring, and they were talking about RG3 and how he needs to play a little less reckless. And he pointed out, he was like, just regular season games in October or November, maybe sometimes you don't need that extra 5 or 6 yards. You can run out of bounds. You can do this and that. And he referenced that. He said, look at people like Russell Wilson and people like Colin Kaepernick. It seems like they know when not to turn that switch on and when to turn that switch on in the postseason when it's important. And he's saying that was something that Robert Griffin had to learn to do. So that might be your answer. Kaepernick just like, look, regular season is not that important. I have to.
Regular season, my man is sliding all the time. He has no problem getting down.
And shout out to Andy.
To make it to the playoffs.
Shout out to Andy from Court Division because I don't know what Kaepernick did to him, but he hates Colin Kaepernick.
He went off on
Kaepernick.
I
was on his Facebook page and he was just going ballistic how he hates Kaepernick. I mean, I'm not a Kaepernick fan. I care less about him, but I said that sounded personal. He was going off on how he hates Kaepernick. So shout out to
man, Colin Kaepernick looks like Gonzo. Tell me he doesn't.
I don't know, Jim. Maybe Kaepernick he might have hit him with like a chatting cut at Starbucks or something. I don't know.
I think Andy must have had a crush on Sanaya Lathan or something. That's what it was.
I think Andy hates him because he's a football player. Andy hates football.
Oh, yeah, he hates football, so, he's going to be upset when he sees
it. Oh, yeah, Andy hates football, too, though. So,
he's going to be mad.
That could be it, too.
Yeah, so, I don't know. Cap knows playoff time. It's money time, so you got to, do the things that you were being a little careful about in the regular season. So we'll see how that happens. But for me, I just think for Cam Newton and the fellas, like Kenny Smith said when Vince Carter did his first dunk, it's over. So let's go to the last game.
Kuechly too. Kuechly, however you want to pronounce it, because masterful season.
Yeah, he's a baller. Let's go to the last game of the weekend. We got the San Diego Chargers, who, Steelers fans are trying to sue the National Football League for the Chargers being in the playoffs in the first place.
Shout out to
Jim. we got the Chargers going to Denver to see Jimmy's Broncos. This game, it's a division matchup. It's the third game of the season for these guys. So anytime you think something is supposed to be easy when it's between division rivals, most of the time it's never as easy as you think it's going to be. Plus, San Diego played them tough all throughout the season. One thing, fellas, before you give your keys and your predictions, by all accounts, by recent history, the San Diego Chargers are supposed to go on to win the Super Bowl this season, and that has a lot to do with my Philadelphia Eagles because we're everybody's stepping stone to that championship. I'm sure you've heard the stat. The last 4 opponents of the Eagles for their opening day opponents at Lincoln Financial Field have gone on to win the Super Bowl. And, you think that kind of stuff is coincidence. If the San Diego Chargers win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, then we got to really start questioning
it.
Yeah, then it's got to become a discussion.
Spooky. That's going to be really, really spooky. Because if you think about it, maybe 3 of the 4 teams that have already won it were like 6 seeds. So it's not impossible. San Diego's the 6th seed that just crept into the playoffs.
It's weird, Dev, because people have been talking about that whole Eagle streak. Yo, there's another streak going on that says the Chargers are going to win, which is even weirder than that. 7 seasons in a row, the Washington Redskins have played and beat the eventual Super Bowl champions by a score of 13-3. And guess who Washington beat this year 13-3?
Yo, the NFC East is they're just the garbage, spooky.
How weird is that? That's 7.
That is weird.
7 in a row. That's weird as hell. But anyway.
So the San Diego Chargers are supposed to win the championship this year, so they're going to mess it up. They're going to mess up both streaks. We all know that. What do you guys see happen in this game, though? Is there any chance that they can beat the Broncos?
I don't really believe in any of those hocus pocus stats or whatever. So I'm not going to factor that into my decision by any means. That's what it is. It's like it's trying to find the number 6 and everything. Like you can find it if you really look hard enough. That's all it is. But kind of like my pick on the Panthers, the Chargers are the Cinderella story in the AFC, and it's the same kind of deal. They seem to be having some magic, and isn't it about time that Phillip Rivers gets one, for crying out loud? He's paid his dues.
No.
He's getting all fired. He's having fun this season. He's on the sidelines getting all fired up. Big shout out to Justin Arbogast because he absolutely hates Phillip Rivers, much like Andy hates Kaepernick. But he's
a Raiders fan. He hates life. You know.
That's true. That's right. Well, we're just giving him some crap because he wasn't here tonight. But they've proven that they can beat Denver and they can beat them in Denver. So it's anyone's game. It's just going to depend on which team makes the most mistakes. That team is not going to move on. Which team's running game gets going first, that team will move on. Of course, Denver has the momentum because this is a do-or-die type of season for the Denver Broncos and Peyton Manning. It's like Super Bowl or bust over there in Denver. And Peyton Manning needs to get one more to be considered one of the best, if not the best, and keep building his legacy. So even though I'm a little sweet on the Chargers because of the story, and I just think it's about time for Phillip Rivers, I can't go against the Broncos.
All that, and he's
going to pick the Broncos. He said all that and pick the Broncos.
The hocus pocus is going on.
I just had to make it clear that has nothing to do with me picking the way I pick. But
so basically, all Austin just said is, so you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah!
There's a chance.
Yeah, I mean, something else you guys may not know, I mean, Jimmy probably knows this more than the other two guys, but of the teams left in the AFC playoffs, the other 3 teams are the 3 teams that have beaten the Denver Broncos this season. The Colts, Patriots, and the Chargers. So if they're going to make it to the Super Bowl, they're going to earn it. It's going to be nice revenge games. But I think Denver's going to win. And if they don't win, then this is really time where they need to start looking at what's going on here, because you can't build this regular season juggernaut that's just going to fold in the playoffs every year. So, I mean, this is a game they have to win.
Did.
This is a game they have to win. And even more so than the Phillip Rivers joyful bolo tie, what I miss more is the Phillip Rivers temper tantrum, man. I'm waiting for it. I want to see it this weekend. I want to see him cry on the sideline and start throwing things at people. It's going to happen. Phillip Rivers is going to struggle, I think. And you got to remember the win that they had. I believe, if I'm correct, that it was on a Thursday night game, and those games were always a little weird, because you got the 3 days rest and everything,
right.
And they were heavily favored. So I always throw those out a little bit more. I take those with a grain of salt more than most games.
I'm personally glad they won that game because I don't want to play a team 3 times, especially when you beat them twice already. I didn't want that at all. Mm-hmm. In terms of my pick, I'm going to take my beloved Denver Broncos. What you know about? Hold on, I got the crispy white with the old Broncos logo. Ooh. Anyway, I'm taking my Denver Broncos. And that's the fact. I mean, I understand that the 3 teams remaining are the 3 teams we lost to. The Chargers being the most recent team. But even the Chargers as well as the Patriots game, we were controlling the games, and of course we folded. And you don't want to see that in the playoffs. But I think we're going to actually dominate this Chargers team. I really do. I think the Chargers are a Cinderella. They shouldn't even be in the playoffs. And if they beat the Broncos, I might think about suing because they shouldn't be there anyway.
No bolo ties in the AFC Championship. That should be.
And by the way, man, listen. You guys both said it. It's Super Bowl or bust right now for the Broncos. If the Broncos don't win this game, I am starting the boycott Papa John's, movement, because we have to. There's no way we can lose this game, y'all. Please don't lose this game, y'all. That's all I'm saying. But I got the Broncos.
I think, just like Austin said, even with all the hocus pocus and the stats that the non-really football stats that favor the San Diego Chargers.
I think
the clock is going to strike midnight on Cinderella. I don't necessarily think Phillip Rivers will just completely turn into a pumpkin. I just think the Broncos, knowing that they have lost to this team, knowing what the expectations are, and on the other side, there's a lot of people expecting them to fail. So with all that mixed in, man, I think the team has to have some level of pride, and they're going to go out there, and I think they're really going to go out there with the intentions to dominate the team, like Jimmy said. I don't know if that's how it's going to go down, but
I'm trying to see a 50-piece put on the Chargers.
Yeah, I think that's the mentality that they're going to have. And I think they're going to have to, it's probably going to have to be an offensive onslaught because the Broncos' defense, in my opinion, haven't really played up to expectations this season. Of course, they're missing Von Miller again. That's a blow to the team. They didn't have him most of the season, and they lost him again. I think it's over for Cinderella. I think the Eagles streak and the Washington streak is going to come to an end, and I'll take the Broncos on this one. So
half a man. I want to see half a man put on them Chargers.
50 spot on the Chargers.
50 spot. I want a 50
I don't know.
spot.
And Jimmy, I actually think you guys are in a good position because you've lost to the 3 teams remaining.
No, I agree, and I actually said the same thing. If we would have beaten the Chargers twice and had to play them again, that's the reason I didn't want to play the Chiefs. It's very difficult to beat a team 3 times in one season.
Right. And I think a team as good as the Broncos, I think it'll be difficult for any of these teams to beat them twice. So I think you guys are sitting in a really good position right now.
If this game doesn't end with Phillip Rivers crying on the sideline, I'm just going to be thoroughly disappointed.
Phillip's emotional. He might cry either way.
He's like one of them college teams doing March Madness when they lose and they be going.
Then I want Peyton Manning to run over to him and go, "Look at you, emotional."
Look at him, emotional.
He's going to cry on the bus. All right. So anyway, all right, everybody. I mean, I know you sat here and watched. I know we said a bunch of stuff that you don't agree with. So what? Leave your comments in the comment section if you think we're wrong. If you think we're right, give us your picks, your predictions for all 4 divisional round games. Make sure you click like. Make sure if you haven't done that already, you subscribe to the channel. So every time a Vision episode comes out without us having to, advertise it to you and tell you. So, any last thoughts on the playoffs prior to this weekend, fellas?
Cam!
I'm just looking forward to the 2014-2015 Pittsburgh Steelers campaign. I can't wait to see how they capitalize on Le'Veon Dickerson and Ben Roethlisberger.
All I want to say is make sure you go download the War Room Sports mobile app, which is on Android as well as iPhone as well as iPad. So, you can keep up with us during these games because we, on Facebook, Twitter, talking our trash, and, you can catch all our content in the mobile app. That's all I got there.
And Frank, what would be even crazier if they, breaking news comes down tomorrow that they're going to stop the playoffs for 10 days because they're actually going to, they're going to hear this case. So
have the Chargers and the Steelers play, for the spot.
Make them play on Saturday, and then we got to play the winner on Sunday.
Austin, last thought.
I pretty much just summed it up a little earlier, man. Cam Newton riding that train. They're winning this weekend.
Nice. I'm actually hoping you're right. I don't think you're right, but I'm hoping you're right.
It'd be a good story.
It would be a good story.
I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to some good games and some good stories.
Definitely.
At this point, I don't have a horse in the race, so let's go.
I think they're going to be very good games, except for Seattle, New Orleans. I don't think that's going to be a good game, but I think the rest of them are going to be very good games.
Think Drew Brees going out like a punk?
Yeah, I think he's going out. Yeah.
All right.
You might need to leave another $2 tip at a restaurant now.
This has been another playoff edition of Field Vision, brought to you by War Room Sports in conjunction with Sports Kings. Like we always tell you guys, don't accept mediocrity and be steadfast in the war against ignorance.
We'll see you chumps on top
next week.
Kuwait is the war room with 5 nights at the round table. 5 Philly guys diversified and educated.